Hello, student. Good morning. Um, Today we are going to understand the very important topic in sociology, that is social interaction in everyday life. All of you are aware about the concept of social structure. If you remember, we read about it in first semester. This is one of the interesting chapter because this chapter deals with the very understanding of how do we construct the reality we experience in everyday life. In every society, persons build their everyday life by using the idea of status. You know, two components of a structure is status and role. So I will start my lecture firstly to make you understand about the concepts of status, role, master status, status set, role set, so that you can understand the very concept of social structure in everyday life. So what is a status? A status is a social position that a person holds. In everyday use, the word status generally means prestige. As when we say, for example, that our president B.K. Kapoor has more status than a newly hired assistant professor Mr. Randir Gautam, you can feel the sense of status here. That is to say, the prestige. But sociologically speaking, both president and assistant professor are statuses, right? Or positions within the college organization. And the functional arrangements of a status in terms of hierarchy provides the very structure of any organization, say college organization or social organization for that matter, right? And each of us holds many status at once. So there is a concept called a status set, which refers to all the status a person holds for a given time. For example, a girl student in our class may be daughter to her parents, a sister to her brother, a student at her university, and a dancer when she participates in college functions. Right? So one individual possesses many status. So this is called a status set. Right? And some status are achieved, some status are ascribed. So you are aware about some status you get right from the birth, like caste, gender, creed, religion, so and so forth. Some status you have to achieve. Suppose you want to become an IAS officer or judicial officer, you have to achieve that status, right? There is another concept, is master status. What is master status? Master status is a status that has a special importance for social identity, right? Often shaping a person's entire life. For most people, a job is a master status because it reveals a great deal about a person's social background, education, and income. And few cases, name is the master status. I can give many examples, like being a son in Sonia Gandhi family or Mulayam Singh Yadav family attracts attention and creates opportunity in Indian politics for that matter. So this is a status, is to be understood as master status, right? And a status exists because role exists. So what is role? Role is a behavior expected of someone who holds a particular status. An individual holds a status and performs a role. For example, holding the status of a student leads you to perform the role of attending classes and completing assignments, right? If you can see the picture that is in my PPT about role set. First the role set, the concept that was given by Robert Merton. He was a functionalist. And this concept, there is a lady and surrounded by many status, right? 4 status particularly. So each status linked to particular role set. First, as a professor, this lady interacts with students. So here is a role of a teacher, and when she deals with other academics, she is playing a role of colleague. And her work as a researcher, she has to gather and analyze data, so she has to go to her field, right, in order to collect the data, and so is playing the role of field worker. And when she publishes that research in the form of book or any article, she is playing a role of author. So one individual is surrounded by various roles. This is called role set, right? So role and status construct social structure in everyday life. Another concept is, and role is constructed by the society. So there is a concept called social construction of reality. Everything in this world is a construct. So the idea of social also is a construct. So what is social construction of reality? It is a very process by which people creatively shape reality through social interaction. And what is social interaction? Social interaction is a complex negotiation that builds reality. Most everyday situation involves at least some agreement about what's going on, but how people see events depends on their different backgrounds, interests, and interactions, intentions, right? So your social position, your social context, being a position of a man, determines the context you think like a man, right? So social context inculcate particular sort of interests, right? Karl Marx also talks about your class position determines your interest. So ideology is determined by the class positions, right? It is not some idea which suddenly come into the mind. No, your positions grasp some reality, incorporate some intentions, and you have some interest, right? So there is a thinker called Thomas Theorem. Thomas, he was a William and Dorney Thomas, two thinkers who gave the theory called Thomas theory, and management student must have understood this concept of Thomas theorem. Since he was an interactionist, so he says if people define situation as real, they are real in their consequences, right? In other words, people or individual acts on the basis of his beliefs and perceptions about situations. So your perception determines your interest. Subsequently, your interest determines your value, and your value determines your action. So you are motivated to particular action. This is the same thing Max Weber also talks about when he explains social action, for that matter, right? And the term definition of situations refers to people's perceptions and interpretations of what is important in a situation and what actions are appropriate. A central part of social interaction then is a person's interpretation or definitions to other behavior. So we act because we think somebody defines the behavior, the expected behavior. So we act with expected behavior, right? This is the very thing Thomas talks about, right? So put it in simple words, we can say situations that are defined as real are real in their consequences. For example, if you define and if you identify yourself with a status of lawyer, sooner or later you will become a lawyer, right? So most of the time what happens is like we take reality things for granted. So we don't question why we should respect our parents, why we should love our, why we should take care of our sibling, why we should obey our teachers, because this is the things for granted reality. And things for granted reality is being practiced in terms of common sense, right? So common sense is a social construct, right? 90% of people have some sort of convention in terms of social action, right? So, and once you act against common sense, you become deviant, or sometimes you get punished, right? So this is the social construction of reality aspect of everyday life. And to become more aware about the social expectations, there is a thinker called Garfinger. Garfinger devised a concept, or for that matter methodology, called ethnomethodology, which studies everyday life very beautifully. What is ethnomethodology? It's a methodology that is being devised by Garfinger, which talks about the study of the way people make sense of their everyday surroundings. So how we sense our expected roles, right, through common sense or morality, norms and all things, right? So this is the methodology called ethnomethodology, which study everyday life, that is being devised by Garfinger. Means how we make sense our reality is to be a student, a study. So persons do not build experience out of thin air. In part, how we act and how we see our surroundings depends on our interest, right? And uh, and this is called the paramount reality. So what you think in terms of your action, you you generalized that expected generalizations in terms of observing others as well, right? So if you think like uh, middle class people are lazy people, or very clever people, it's your paramount reality. But you observe like every people surround you think like that, right? This is called paramount reality. So your perception determines your reality, right? One example I can give, gazing at a sky on a starry night. If you are a lover, you will find and discover romance, right? And if you are a scientist, you will see hydrogen, atom fusing into helium, and if you are a religious person, you will discover the spiritual things. So what I want you make you understand is like your action is driven by the meaning that you attach with your action. And the same thing Max Weber also says, when it comes to the explanation of social action, you have to understand individual. So you have to go to the field, like why that individual behaves in this way, right? So you have to find what sort of meaning an individual attaches with his or her action. Then only you can explain social phenomena in a significant way, right? And your interest is also constructed by things like what sort of people whom you like to interact or you interact, what sort of literature you read, what sort of music you listen, what sort of culture you are trying to imitate for that matter. This whole thing construct your interest, your value, right? So there is a thinker called Erving Goffman. He was also a interactionist perspective, and he gave very important consideration about the understanding of social life. And he says that people live their lives much like actor performs on a stage. So the world is a stage, the quotation given by Shakespeare. We are also playing a role. When you watch any movie, you will see an actor playing a certain role, sometimes a role of police officer, role of doctor, role of middle class, role of simple laborer, right? So we are also playing a role, same way a role that is played in film or theatre. So and if we imagine ourselves as director observing what goes on in the theatre of everyday life, we are doing what Goffman called dramaturgical analysis. Dramaturgical analysis means the role is to be understood in terms of its performance. So you are a girl, so your status is girl because you perform the role of girl, right? So performance is the Understanding of the performance is the hallmark of understanding of interaction in everyday life as far as dramatological perspective is concerned. And Goffman also described each individual's performance as an presentation of self, right? And a person's effort to create specific impressions in the minds of others. So he again gave the concept called impression management, right? When you interact other person, you basically doing impression management. You are trying to control yourself. So how you are going to control yourself? The way you act in context of expected roles. You behave in terms of expected behavior, right? This is the whole understanding of impression management. And sometimes you will think like how we dress, like how we speak, our gesture, our posture, how we make joke. And when it comes to the church, we become our voice become a little bit slow when entering into a temple, and when we are in restaurant we freely laugh and enjoy. So this is social context. You behave according to your expected behavior, right? So in terms of understanding the social life of everyday life, we have to understand the non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication means you do not speak. Communication is not done by only this language. Sometimes you are silent but you express many things, right? Without a single word you can explain your anger, you can explain your happiness, right? Through your facial expressions, right? And facial expression is more important than that of the speech, right? You can understand somebody's lecture with facial expression. If I record this lecture and send, and you will not understand. And if you are watching this video and observing my body language, right, my gesture, then you will understand more, right? So this is the aspect of non-verbal communications, right? And eyes contact is the another way of expressing emotions, right? And eyes contacts are important in terms of understanding communication as well. So the major element of social interaction by focusing the three dimensions of everyday life: humor, language and emotions. So what is emotion? Emotions, commonly we understand emotion as feelings, and feelings are an important element of human social life. In truth, what we do often matters less than how we feel, right? We do not speak bad language because we know somebody will hurt, right? So emotion plays a very significant role in terms of expressing or communicating, right? And emotion seems to be personal because they are inside. And even so, just as society guides our behavior, emotion or feelings guides our action, right? Biologically speaking, as Darwin says, there are 6 universal emotions, that is happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, and sixth is surprise. These are all, the universal, and in every culture you will find people are having this emotions, universal, right? But emotions are having cultural side also. Suppose when it comes to a woman, you are free to express your emotions. When it comes to men, man has constraint, right? Women are allowed to cry, but when it comes to men, don't cry. You are a man, man don't cry. Woman cries. So this is the patriarchal understanding. This is the patriarchal connotation of expression of emotions. Another very important aspect of the social interaction in everyday life is language. Language is very important concept. Language is not that we use in terms of communication. Language shapes us, right? And language is, what I say, the thread that weaves persons of a society into a symbolic wave we call culture. And language is a very important part of culture. And language communicates not only a surface reality but also deeper level of meaning. And if you understand language, you will understand the domination of culture. Right? Yeah, yesterday lecture I was also talking about how the Britishers brought English language in terms of changing the mindset of Indians, making them middle class, consumerist or Western Indians for that matter. Language is to be understood as a dominant form of cultural hegemony. That's why there are many words in English language that reflects only man's positions. Suppose we speak chairman, businessman, man force, cameraman, craftsman, so and so forth. A chair person can be chairwoman also and chairman also, but we generally use chairman, right? So this is the patriarchal connotation of understanding of language. Third but not the least is the concept of humor. Humor plays very important role in everyday life, and everyone laugh at joke, but very few people stop to think about what makes something funny. And we can apply many of ideas developed in this concept to explain how by using humor we play with reality. And humor is produced by the social construction of reality. It arises as members of society create and contrast two different realities. Generally, one reality is conventional, and what culture leads people to expect in a specific situation. Other reality is unconventional, the unexpected or violation of cultural patterns, cultural settings, right? And humor arises from the contradictions, right? So there are two types of cultural expectations. Something is called conventional and unconventional. We say, oh, this is the unconventional attitude. Means their humor is not fit in that particular situation, right? So, and one very good example of humor is, how many of you watch Kapil Sharma show? Kapil Sharma has deep understanding of humor. The same language, the tone of language, by changing the tone of language, changing the word, sometimes he uses very conventional use and people laugh. That is the humor. We say he has a good sense of humor, means he is responding or he is playing with reality, constructed reality in a very significant way. Right? So humor is a source of pleasure also. Right? So these are all the three important aspects of social construction of reality. First is humor, language, and number one, communication. Right? So in the next lecture, we are going to understand postmodernism. This is a very important, this will be the very interesting and important chapter, because being a student of sociology, you must aware about the recent changes. Classical theories are important, but contemporary theories is very important in terms of utilizing the classical theories and understanding the unexplored dimension of social life.